The show where anything goes. Motivation, mindset, recovery, philosophy, and life. We become who we are through what we experience. We all have a story, and this is My Backstory with Josh Boyer.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? Here we are on the My Backstory podcast, episode who knows what, probably 35, maybe 36, maybe even 37, I don't know. But we'll figure that out when we edit it and put it out. I'm here with John Brown, the president and CEO of the Recon and Sniper Foundation. And I'm out here in Eugene, Oregon. So I really want John to share like a little bit of his backstory, like kind of like what he did before, you know, he got involved with the foundation, and what the foundation is all about, and what they're doing, what they have in the works, what they see, you know, coming down, what the future looks like for them, and share all that, man. So this is going to be your show, buddy. So you're going to take it away, introduce yourself. And
right on, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming up to Oregon and having lunch. And
love it here, man. This rain is great.
Yeah. The weather was great yesterday. I promise it was.
No, but a lot of people talk shit on the rain, and like I actually dig it. I mean, we've had more rain in California, in Southern California, than we have in probably 15 or like 20 years.
Okay.
So everyone's like freaking out over this rain, you know, like it's,
and everybody was just bitching a few months ago about the drought. So
right. Yeah. You can't please everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some people you can't please at all. So,
totally.
Thank you for coming up, man. Like, this is an awesome opportunity. So I am a former Recon dude. I really didn't do anything special or great compared to some of the guys in our community. You know, I spent 4 years, a little over 4 years in Okinawa. Originally went in the Marine Corps to go into the infantry. The Marine Corps in its normal fashion made a mistake and sent my entire platoon to Okinawa, and there isn't an infantry unit there. So they're like, you know, I know I think about this all the time, like the logistics of accidentally sending like 12 or 15 dudes to Okinawa, like for a year without any job for them to do is just,
dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So it actually happened a lot. In fact, I know a lot of guys, who went the same path, where like they get to Okinawa and they're like, well, you guys have these three options, you know? So I was given the option of, you can try out for, 4th Marines is there. 4th Marine State Platoon, the Scout Sniper Platoon was there at the time. 3rd Recon Company was on Camp Schwab, which is the base that I ended up being on. And then I could be an admin guy for a year. So it was like, these are your three choices. And I was a much better swimmer than I was a shooter. So I was like, okay, well, I definitely don't want to be an admin guy for a year. And, you know, I'm a good swimmer, so I will try out for Recon. So, they gave us orders to the Recon Company, which is a lot different than how guys go through the process to become a Recon Marine now. So I get orders to 3rd Recon Company, go into a Recon, indoctrination platoon, a RIP platoon, do an indoc. And then from there you go to the schools and, you know, jump school, dive school, ranger school, sniper school. I didn't go to all those schools, but I went to, you know, a few schools, while I was there, to go to the Recon course, which I did in Virginia, or jump school in Georgia or any of that stuff. You have to have a year left when you get back. So if you go to Okinawa for 1 year and you want to go to a school off island, at least at the time, this was the policy, you had to, re-up for a year. Yeah. So that when you got back, they could get at least another year out of you, instead of schooling you up and then sending you to another Recon unit. At that time, I had done, you know, most of my initial upfront training in the first year and a half. It was the same time I met my wife, my girlfriend at the time. So I had more than one motivation to stay on Okinawa, and I liked it. You know, it's a cool place. It was definitely way cooler in the late 90s. I got there in December of 97. So, ended up, you know, extending for my entire 4 years, staying there. When I first got there, there was 3rd Recon Company was at Camp Schwab, which is the most northern base on the island. And then the next, most northern base is Camp Hansen, where 5th Force Recon Company was. So, The difference between Force Recon and Recon at the time was much greater than it is now. A lot of times now the Recon battalions have a Force company. But the time I was in, to go into Force, you had to have at least 4 years in the Marine Corps. You had to have gone to like corporal's course or sergeant's course. You couldn't have any NJPs. It was they didn't even look at you unless you had 4 years already in the Marine Corps and you had done a really good job. So now you can, guys are going, or at the time when I was leaving in early 2001 or mid 2001, people were coming straight from the Recon school and going into a Force Recon company. So times changed. Anyway, the two companies at two different bases. That's the way it was when I first got there. So I was with 3rd Recon Company, and then 5th Force Company moved up to Camp Schwab. They became 5th Force Recon Battalion, so we became one battalion. I think it was 5th Force Battalion for like a year, maybe a little bit more, and then they changed it over to 3rd Recon Battalion, which is what it is now. So the entire reconnaissance assets on island from the Marine Corps went to one location under one battalion, and again, they continue to be in the same place today. So
how big is that island, like in relation to something in the United States that people
I think from point to point is like 70 miles as the bird flies.
Wow.
Like 3.5 miles wide. I think it's some of its widest spots. It has a reef around the entire island, so in most places at low tide, you can walk, waist to chest deep water out, 1/4 mile and be in crystal clear blue water. Yeah, it's the Hawaii of Japan. As I was saying before, it's got its own culture, its own language. It has a unique history that is different than the Japanese history. So I went back to Japan for a few weeks, 3 years ago with my daughter, and traveled around mainland Japan. And it wasn't until that point that I really understood how much different mainland Japan is culturally to the Okinawan culture. And I think the Hawaii analogy is really good. Hawaiians have their own language, their own almost culture. So it's American, but it's unique. And in Okinawa is the same way. So
it's a trip.
Yeah.
Were your wife's parents like upset that she was like dating a GI? American GI?
So my wife went to school in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So she high school and grade school and everything in Okinawa. Moved to the US to go to college in Seattle, and then moved back and was teaching English. So she, her parents are they're well off. They could finance her to do that, and her 3 other sisters. So they were more informed than other people. There's obviously a bias against U.S. troops there. Some of it is well-founded, some of it is not. But to answer your question, they were always very receptive and gave me a fair chance.
That's awesome.
And they've always been super nice to me. And we've been married for 18 years now, and I think they like me. I don't. Her mom doesn't speak English, so I don't know if she's talking shit. At least I don't know what she's saying, which.
But that's a good thing.
It is, man. Like having a mother-in-law who doesn't speak my language is like awesome. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Like she could be telling me like I'm an asshole, or she could be telling me to like take my shoes off. I have no idea, but
it's hilarious.
To me, it just like
totally just
cool.
nod your head and smile.
Nod and smile. But yeah, they've actually. I've thought about this quite a bit, and I don't know if I probably would be as receptive in that same situation if I was her parents, just because of, the Okinawans didn't have anything to do with Pearl Harbor or Japanese imperialism. In fact, they're the victims of it. Right. Japan destroyed the Okinawan population. So at the end of the war, when we put our bases there, it made strategic sense for us and for the Japanese. But the Okinawans are kind of in the middle, or not kind of, they are in the middle. So. Right. All the good and bad that comes along with our presence there, whether it's the economy doing better as a result, or us paying for the roads or the radar and all this stuff at the airports, they benefit from that. But again, every time a helicopter falls out of the sky, or someone rapes a girl, or a drunk driver, kills a family, it's just another negative. Like, why are we the victims of this? We didn't do this. We're not only the victims of Japanese imperialism from World War II. That killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of their people. But now it's this prolonged presence that has drastically changed their culture. And everything is pretty contingent on our presence there. So if we were just to pull out and leave, their economy would have some issues. So
for sure. So there's some good. I mean, you take the good with the bad, right? Because I mean, obviously their economy is benefiting from us being there, as far as like businesses and stuff like that, because Americans are going out and buying the stuff.
Sure.
But it was the same thing for me in England. I was stationed over in England. I was telling people that they're like, "Oh, are the English like cool toward the Americans?" I'm like, for the most part.
Yeah.
But then you have a bunch of Americans that go out and act like complete assholes. You know what I mean? It's like they give everyone a bad name.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always like, I want to go out and assimilate into their culture.
Yeah.
This isn't my country. I'm visiting, so like I would go out and have a good time and try and, I'd eat the cuisine, which is not great at all.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I don't even know what British cuisine is.
Oh, it's terrible, dude.
Okay.
Like a lot of fried stuff and gravy, and it's just, they're not known for their food for sure.
So Nebraska food is what you're saying, basically.
No, because I'd say Nebraska's more like steak and potatoes,
Okay.
And maybe England has some steaks too, but if they do, it's like with gravy on it.
Well, I just know the last time I went to Nebraska, it was like everything we ordered was fried. Like the salad was fried. It was like...
Yeah. No, they're not. They're definitely not known for their cuisine. So like, but I would go out and I had the black pudding and the haggis, and that's more Scottish. But like, I would just try stuff, and I would like accept like where I was. Okay, cool. I'm in their country. Let's see what I drink their beer and whatever. Tried to stay away from their women as much as I could. Mm-hmm. and
I failed that one.
Yeah, dude. A lot of guys do, man. A lot of guys do. But no, it was cool, and I think that I would see that like I could see how for like Okinawans and for any place where we occupy, could be super challenging,
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would be down with like another country coming to our country and like setting up bases. I don't think I would dig it too much.
Yeah, and especially like you said, when people are dicks and they're out in town, they're drunk. When I look at I was there when I was 18 to 22 years old.
Right.
And when I see a kid who's 18 to 20 years old now, or 22 years old, I'm like, dude, this is a child, this is, and you get kids like that who haven't been out too much and they're in a new environment, and it feels like a consequence-free environment, like it definitely seemed like it was in the 90s. This is before the internet and Facebook and everything was real big, and cell phones. So people are doing some wild shit. Yeah. I did a lot of wild shit, and I'm sure I pissed off a lot of Okinawan people, and other people did too. In hindsight, I regret some of that, but it is difficult when you go out, and because I did the same thing in Okinawa. I tried the food. I knew nothing about Japan. When I landed at Kadena Air Force Base and I saw all the lights out in town, I had no idea. I thought like these are like whorehouses, and this is like a scene from a movie or something. Like I had no idea between the difference between China and Japan and Korea and Thailand, Vietnam. Like I just didn't know. Yeah. And now I understand, but I was extremely ignorant, and I can understand how they get pissed off at us coming there and doing stupid things. And, and then when it goes the step further, when it's, all right, a Marine has just killed a family because he was drinking and driving, or, something like that. So there's definitely good that benefits from it. You meet a lot of cool people. I've had a lot of great times, great friends that are Okinawan people. And, but as with the media, negative attention often gets more attention than positive.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But, you met your wife, so that's cool.
And they did attack us first, so it's not like it was, unprovoked. I mean, there is a little bit of that. Like,
gotta throw that out there.
It's
true.
It is what it is. We were chilling in Hawaii. We had our own tropical island, and they came over and fucked with it. And we're like, all right, we're going to take your tropical island.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. Tit for tat.
Yeah.
Tit for tat. I like it. So when you got out of the Marines, you got out while you were in Okinawa? That was like your last duty station?
That was. So I took 30 days terminal leave.
Yeah. So
they're like, you're on leave, and then while you're at home, your end of service is over. So I went to Thailand with two of my buddies for like 20 some days.
Nice,
that was an interesting trip, to say the least.
Right.
Had a really good time. It was a good way to kind of finish things off. Hung out in Pattaya Beach in Bangkok for a little over 2 weeks, and then came home and my end of active service day was September 9th, 2001. So 2 days before the 9/11 attacks.
What a trip, dude.
Yeah, I knew it was coming, so I was just like, I want to get out before all the paperwork and stuff. And no, no, it was a trip because I actually extended. I was supposed to be out in July, and I extended to September because my platoon was doing another a MU, a Marine Expeditionary Unit. So we were going out on ship, and we were going to Australia, and it was like,
can't miss that, bro.
Exactly. So it was like, you can sit and do nothing for 4.5 months and get out, or you can extend for a couple months and also go to Australia and, do one last cool thing with these guys. And so I was like, hell yeah, dude. Well, I'll do that. I'll extend for a couple months. And like I said, it put me out at September 9th, 2001. So
that's a trip, man. It seems like fortune is following you at this point. If you think about it, like, you get out 2 days before 9/11 so you don't get stop lost.
Yeah.
You show up to Okinawa. You don't even have a fucking job.
Yeah.
You get sent there by accident.
Yeah.
And it ended up, you end up meeting your wife, and like, I don't know, man, it seems like it's a cool story, dude.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was very lucky. A lot of things happened that I feel like it was meant to be. A lot of things happened that shouldn't have happened for me to be in the position I am now. And I was really lucky that I met my wife. I was really lucky that I got an opportunity to try out for recon. But the time that I was there and the leaders that era produced, from the recon, the force recon communities, I mean, legends came out of 3rd Recon in the 90s. I mean, there's guys that have gone on to do amazing things, guys that I, served with side by side, guys, some of them were before me, who are now senior staff NCOs who have done amazing things in Iraq and Afghanistan and in leadership positions in the recon community. And so I often joke about, I went through puberty at 3rd Recon Battalion, and as a result, I rubbed shoulders with some of the greatest leaders that our community has produced in the last, 20 to 25 years. And so it was a very good time to be there. Like I said, it was before the internet. We know, it wasn't before the internet. It was before it was real prevalent.
It's before Al Gore invented the internet.
Yeah, before he hooked us all up with the internet. And it was before real cell phone technology was out there. So, you go out and have a good time, and there isn't 1,000 pictures the next day all over Facebook, and there's, consequences to that stuff now. So, it was a very unique time, and I'm very lucky for a lot of reasons. That's for sure. A lot of good things happened for me.
Why the Marines? Why did you choose the Marines? Was your dad a Marine, or like?
No. So my dad was in the Army in Vietnam. His father was in the Army in the Battle of the Bulge in World War II. I always had respected and wanted to be a soldier or service member. In fact, I've got pictures of me when I, 5, 6, 7 years old at Halloween, cammied up and fake M16. I was a soldier every year for Halloween. I actually, I had gone to a few high schools. I went to 5 high schools. I didn't do too hot academically. I just wasn't applying myself. I wasn't mature. I wasn't interested in what I was learning. And ultimately I didn't apply myself. And so went to multiple high schools. And then at the end of that, one, coincidentally, Halloween, me and a couple of buddies got robbed. And this dude, like 25 dudes surrounded us and took my buddy's stuff. And the way I reacted to that and what I wanted to do as a result of what happened there kind of was a wake up call to me. And I'm like, dude, I got to do something. I'm fucking going in the military. That's it. And the next day I went to the recruiter and went in the Marine Corps recruiter, because that was the hardest of the options, and said, I want to be a Marine. I want to be an 0311, or I want to be an infantryman, like my dad and my grandfather. But I'm going to step it up a notch, and I'm going to go in the Marine Corps. And that was it. I was 16 at that time. My parents had to sign, for me to go into the delayed entry program. I went to boot camp when I was 17, had my 18th birthday in boot camp. Went. That's how I. Were
you at where'd you go? Pendleton?
San Diego. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it's you got Marine Corps Recruit Depot. San Diego's right there up against the San Diego airport, and you go up to Pendleton for a few weeks of your combat training, if you will. Like you spend a week doing maintenance stuff, like you work either in the chow hall or like cleaning or cutting grass, like they basically get free labor out of you for a week, prepare you for the real Marine Corps.
Totally.
And then you do like rifle range, and then you go out and do some, I think the Crucible and some other things. You become a Marine in the last week or so, and then you go back down to MCRD and graduate.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Good shit, man. So then when you got out of the Marines, how did the foundation like come to be? Like, how did you get involved with that? I mean, you didn't start it, right? You came in after the fact?
I did not. So the origin of the foundation is we have a secret, if you will, Facebook group. Nothing on Facebook is actually secret, but we have a group of Recon Marines, active and former. Same thing, snipers, Recon Marines, and Recon Corpsmen. And this private page is, I kind of equate it to the barracks, where you've got a lot of good things and bad things happening in there. You might open up a room and see somebody helping another dude out. You might open another room and just see, trauma and chaos.
Right.
It's actually really good, despite some of the negative things that have happened, because it's online and there's negative aspects of an online community, but a lot of good has come of it. People have helped each other out. A lot of relationships have been created. People get to know each other, find out who's in their area, speak to like-minded people, get advice. It continues to happen today. So out of that Facebook group, what was happening is we would hear, oh, hey, we got a guy in Washington State. He's this is his situation. This is his background. He's an Army dude, or he's a Marine or whatever, and good dude, but just he's not doing well. Do we know anybody up there? Or some kind of a bad situation. Unfortunately, that's often what it was. Somebody needs help, and we would come together and throw our money into a pile and be like, hey, let's help this guy out. Or someone would go knock on his door, or someone would go take him out to have a beer, whatever it was, whatever the appropriate reaction was based from our group. And that just continued to grow. And from that theme, guys came together and said, we should do something more formal. Let's make this into a formal effort. And there's, different ideas as to what the intent of the foundation was initially. I've heard a few people from the beginning have said, oh, we wanted to do this, or we wanted to do that. But my understanding is ultimately it stemmed out of this secret group where we were helping people sometimes on a big level. And it was desired to make it into an actual 501c3, and let's make this a real thing. So there's a recon group, and there's a sniper group, nonprofits that cover just the recon community and just the sniper community. And this is a combination of the two, because we work so closely in the Marine Corps and our jobs overlap and relate to each other a lot, that the Recon and Sniper Foundation was created, and it's kind of morphed into a little bit of a different thing than what I think some guys thought it would be in the beginning. But yeah, that's pretty much the origins of the Recon and Sniper Foundation. And I wasn't a part of, that's why I don't know. I talked to different guys who were there at the beginning, and even the guys that were there at the same time during the very beginning, they'll tell me different stories as to what the intent was. So it's kind of hard to tell for sure.
Right.
As far as how I got involved, there was a plane crash where we lost some raiders, and in the same fashion I described earlier, we had a collective effort to do something to benefit these guys. We just lost 7 special operators in a horrific accident, and we need to put our money and our effort and our resources together and do something. So I put my PayPal address out there, just like my normal, Gmail address, PayPal, and raised, $6 or $7 grand out of that group. And I think from those efforts that got the attention of some of the guys that were on the board at the time, and they asked me if I'd like to be a part of the foundation.
Right.
So I said, yeah, I would love to. I mean, that's an honor. I love to help people, and I think that a lot of recon dudes and snipers and like-minded people, we have that desire to help, and help people in need, and that's something that's big in my heart. And so I jumped on the opportunity, and I was supposed to be on a probationary period, and I don't remember exactly what they asked me to do, what would my title would be as far as a job, or if we even had titles at that time. But a few months after me being there, they asked if I'd like to be the president, and I accepted, and I took that position, and I've been in that position for a little over 3 years now. I think 3.5 years. So
what's the mission statement? Do you guys have one?
We do have a mission statement. I don't know it verbatim, but I can tell you generally what we do. Yeah. Our mission is to provide assistance to veterans and service members in need. We don't help just recon Marines or just snipers, and the reason for that is, one, we have a massive situation in the veteran community. We're losing 22 to 40 or whatever the real number is. I know it's higher than 22, but we're losing a lot of guys, men and women, to suicide every day. We're losing a lot of men and women who are active duty to suicide every day. Right. Life catches up to people, whether it's military or related or not. And of the people who are getting hooked up and helped out in our country, we believe strongly that men and women who serve this country should be taken care of. Just by the sheer numbers, we're losing more service members and veterans in the United States than we are in Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria and in North Africa and all the places we're engaged in combat right now. We're losing more Americans every day here, veterans here, than we are there collectively. And if you're in combat and you run up on somebody and they're bleeding out, I'm not going to be like, nah, dude, you're in the Army, you're on your own. We're going to take care of it. And it's not as sensational as that situation, helping people back here who've got problems with money or drugs or alcohol or whatever. But it's unfortunately deadlier. And the severity of the situation and the seriousness of it, we made a collective decision we're going to help all service members. Anyone who served this country honorably, who's in that type of a position, is eligible for our assistance.
How do they get in touch with you? Like, how does that even start happening, and how do they know about it? Yeah.
So, so as far as how they know about us, word of mouth, social media is huge. Instagram is huge. We've really grown our social media presence over the last couple of years. I think we've got close to 70,000 people on Instagram. So, I remember the guy who runs our Instagram, like 2 years ago, where we have our big party in Vegas every year, a big fundraising party, and he was all excited about having 2,000 people and like, yeah, we're gonna get 2,000. And it's like, dude, now we're at 70,000 in like little over 2 years. Guy's gone from 2,000 to 70,000. He's done amazing work.
That's
awesome. That's one way. We have social workers and VA hospitals who get our information, and we'll when people ask us for assistance, we always, hey, how'd you hear about us? How do you know about this? And because there's thousands and thousands of veteran related nonprofits, and so we want to know, what's working from a marketing standpoint. And we'll also see an influx sometimes of people asking for help, and we're like, hey, what's going on? Where did this? Oh, I heard it on the radio. I heard a podcast.
Right.
So there's a big list of ways that people find out about us. As far as how we, when they contact us, it's usually one way is through our website, or it's through direct contact. So someone will call. We have a phone number. They call. It can link to myself or some of the other guys whose job it is to begin the vetting process. So if someone needs help, all right, we want to make sure you're a veteran first. We do have people who try and they lie or somehow deceptive in their efforts. And so initially we got to vet them and make sure, but they'll contact us through the website, or they'll contact me directly, or a friend will contact me. I have guys that I've served with who, again, they're, all senior staff NCOs now. And they'll call me up. Hey, I've got a guy who's got, he's not doing well. He's been drinking too much and he's this or that, or his rent's due, or his wife is sick, or, whatever the situation is, we'll be alerted one of those ways. And then we begin the process of determining how to best help them out.
Nice. So is there like a vote, or is there like who makes a determination of how much help is going to be rendered and all that other good stuff?
Sure. So we have a formal process. We have a guy who is a manager of our case managers. Right. His job is he oversees 3 or 4 guys who their job is to go through each case. So we get a request through our website. Hey, this is my name. I was in the Army or the Air Force, whatever. Here's my situation. I need help with this. One of our guys will contact them and begin the process. Hey, I need to see your DD-214. I need to, check that legal box. You are a veteran. Right. And then start communicating with that person. Okay, what's going on? What's your need? Because some of the requests are very vague, and sometimes people don't know what they need. Maybe it's they're feeling depressed or suicidal, or they need guidance or advice. So that initial contact is made by one of those guys, and then they start to authenticate who the person is and then determine what the need is.
Right.
If there's a financial need that's attached to it and it's over $1,000, then we have a vote. So any expenditure on the board that's over $1,000, we have to vote on. We're really big on transparency. We're really big on accountability, making sure that all the money I'm taking money from Gold Star families.
Right.
And there's nothing more serious than the subject of working with and working on behalf of Gold Star families. So we want zero room for confusion. We want 100% transparency, and we want to make sure that we spend that money in the most honorable, efficient manner possible. So we've made collectively the rule that if it's over $1,000, again, we vote on it. So for instance, we just had a request that I got a phone call last night. Hey, here's the situation. Here's this family. They're not doing well. The case manager in charge of everybody who does the cases says that this is what he believes. This is the cost. It's going to be around $4,000. It's going to require a vote. I think we should vote. That's what he told me. And so then I talk to the next guy and we start going down the list and everybody asks their questions, and then the board will chime in on how they vote.
And who's funding this? Like, who's funding the organization?
So we're 100% volunteer. We all have day jobs. So nobody's paid, and we finance ourselves. We do fundraisers. We do events. We seek donations. We have people that sometimes will donate on a regular basis. We have annual events that we participate in. We've got every year at SHOT Show, which is the gun show in Vegas. Oh, yeah. In January, we have our annual fundraising party, which traditionally we have raffled off a sniper rifle and made a huge chunk of money off that. I think we made $50,000 the first rifle. The second year we made, in conjunction with 3 other items like a pistol, an AR-10, and a target system, like we made like $70,000 on that.
Nice, dude.
So yeah, that's those efforts, selling merchandise, just a collection of ways where we bring in a little bit of money at a time. And then we have, again, the big fundraising events like raffles.
Right. Where do you see the foundation going? Like, what's your goal for the foundation?
So, my personal belief, so the Recon Marines and snipers are leaders. We're supposed to be leaders in the Marine Corps. It's special. It takes extra effort to be a Recon Marine. It takes extra effort to be a sniper. You can pretty much quit your job at any time, whereas any other job you can't quit. I mean, you've got to be there. You got to be the right person, and it's a unique breed of men.
Right.
And I want to use that leadership that Recon Marines and snipers possess and continue to do good on behalf of the men and women who serve this country, who are now unfortunately in a position of need, or even better, to preempt that and provide assistance or an environment where they don't ever get into that need. So I want to connect them one way or the other so that before the VA puts them on that medicine that's going to fuck them up for the next 5 years, that they talk to somebody who's already gone that route and be like, no, bro, don't go on Oxycontin, or don't go on that, antidepressant. Try this, like, this is my story. Share that information, because the wheel's being reinvented over and over and over again by service members and veterans. So to answer your question, if I had a magic wand and $100 million in the bank, I would be employing Recon Marines and snipers and other veterans to continue to have a capability to help people who are in need, but also employ veterans to do good work. So my pipe dream, if you will, is you've got guys that are going to Afghanistan and Iraq who are doing security contracting. They're making a ton of money, doing security. If I could do the same thing, maybe not pay him as much, but doing humanitarian things, whether it's in the United States or outside the U.S. So, hey, I need 12 guys to go to Haiti, and we're going to go help rebuild a village, or we're going to go put a water irrigation system in. Like, I know a ton of guys who would, if they got paid to do it and the pay was consistent, would do that kind of thing. I would love to do that for the rest of my life.
Right.
And we have this saying, it's not a recon or a sniper specific thing, but no better friend, no worse enemy. And the enemy aspect of that is well known. That's for the battlefield. But the no better friend side of it is in my opinion, equally important. And it helps guys heal. So when there's a car accident where the first guys want to stop, there's some emergency here or there, we want to help out. And that's just the nature of who we are. And so if I can, again, create an environment where I can pay service members and veterans to do that type of work. So you're employing veterans, you're helping people in the country, out of the country, doing good things. Like, it just seems like a win-win for me. And it seems like something that our guys could relate to. If I got paid to go to North Africa or Asia or, other places for 2 weeks or 3 weeks at a time and do humanitarian projects, and the pay was consistent enough where I could make a living and that was my job, like, not only would I make the money, not only would I be doing good things for those people, but I would feel really good. Right. And that good feeling of doing that, I think is important for helping service members and veterans heal. People who have, maybe have PTSD or other issues stemming from military service, getting them to help and do good on behalf, with like-minded people again, and be part of a team and a mission that is more important than themselves or bigger than themselves. I think that's, it would be good in many different ways. So many Americans want to know what they can do to help veterans. They, okay, we're losing all these guys and men and women to suicide, but they don't understand why. Or they understand what's going on. They want to help, but they don't know what to do. Well, there's 47,000 nonprofits in the U.S. that deal with veteran issues alone, and some of them are really, really shady. And so nobody knows, unless you're intimately involved with them, like, which one is legit. So you don't know who to give to. You don't know what the problem is or understand it. You want to help, but you don't know what to do. So if I could create that environment where people can say, okay, this is where my money's going. It goes to this organization and this is exactly what they do. I can see how the money's spent. I see the good it's doing here and abroad. And I see that veterans are being employed in the process. Like, that's a lot of wins in my book. And that's John's personal view. I mean, we have a board and we have to vote for how we, what we do and what direction we take the foundation. But I'm tired of seeing amazing warriors, some of America's best service members, just America's best, period, do these amazing things in the Marine Corps and the military, and then get out and those skills perish. Their talent is wasted. They're doing a job that doesn't even begin to tap what's, that person's potential is. And they're not happy. Their potential's being wasted, and I think there's a lot of good that can be done and continue to be done by these people. They can continue to serve, but in a different fashion.
Yeah. Are you guys like teaming up with any other foundations?
We don't have any active, programs that we consistently team up with other organizations. We do from time to time work with other, nonprofits. We've worked with organizations within our own community. The Brothers in Arms Foundation, which is on the East Coast. Those guys do amazing work, and we've partnered with them on multiple things. Raising Raiders is another one. So as things pop up, we will work with other organizations. I've talked to people who are starting organizations, and I would like to work with them. Yeah. If they're like-minded and if there's integrity and transparency in what they do, and we have a mission that is shared, then I will work with anybody. Right. It's so much more about the mission than it is about us. And if partnering with another organization gives us the ability to help more people or help them better than we currently are capable of doing, then that's way more important than RSF, putting our stamp on it or getting recognition for it. It's the mission's just too important to let the ego or anything else get in the way. So anytime there's an opportunity, we'll partner with the right people.
Are you planning on staying the president? Is this like a long-term thing for you?
I haven't thought about how long I'll be the president. I guess it's really based on what the community says. I'm surprised I'm in this position. There's guys that are 1,000 times better than me that have done so much more than me. I'm honored to be in this position, and I will serve in this capacity as long as the community wants me to, as the Recon and Sniper, feel it's appropriate for me to lead. But I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't thought about an exit strategy or thought about, the longevity of this position. It definitely weighs on me at times, and
it's a lot of action, having a family and having a day job, and then on top of that, trying to give your all to something that's like super important to you.
Yeah. And the content of what we do is itself is it weighs on you.
It's heavy.
It is heavy stuff. I know way too many Gold Star families.
Right.
I love them all to death. They're all amazing people. But I wish I didn't know them.
Right.
I wish their son or daughter was alive. I know way too many people whose sons or daughters have killed themselves. And, I talk to them every day, literally every day. I talk to somebody who's in that position, and, it's tough. So I think about it. Sometimes I think about, when I need to start looking at an exit strategy, but, it's usually an emotion based thing. And, if I had the power, I would stay doing this and continue to grow the foundation into something wonderful. And, I want it to be an empire. I want it to be a place where we can have an amazing organization that is transparent and has the ability to employ service members and do really, really good things. I mean, if money was unlimited, we would be doing a lot of really good things.
Excuse me. What are some of the coolest things that we were talking earlier about the ranch? If you want to talk about that a little bit, like, what are some of the cool programs that you guys offer for veterans?
So, well, the first thing I'll talk about is Team RSF. Team RSF is competitive shooting teams, and you have to be a veteran, an honorably discharged veteran, a clear background to be on one of our teams. You shoot pistol, rifle, precision rifle. They shoot in competitions all across the country. They wear the name of a fallen recon Marine or sniper on their back. So they're shooting in honor of one of our guys that was killed in the war on terrorism or passed. So what I love to shoot. Shooting is awesome. I shoot as much as I can every week. But shooting is really secondary to what else happens in the Team RSF environment. Okay. You get veterans together with like-minded people and other non-veterans, but like-minded Americans who are supportive of the service. And you create an environment where you have someone you can rely on. You're back in a team. You're back doing something you can relate to. Regardless of your MOS, you use guns in the military. Everybody does it in boot camp at least. So it's something you can relate to. You're around people that are unique in their service, and you've got that in common with them. And you can hopefully seek guidance. So you're shooting a match under Team RSF banner. You're working with all these people who are supportive of law enforcement and military, patriots. Right. And you've got now a group of people who can help guide you in life. So like I gave the example before of having someone who can tell you not to try that medicine, or that 30% is too high for your car interest rate, or whatever, that extends that network. Right. And now you've got competition in your life. You've got challenge. You're shooting on a team with other people and supporting each other. And again, most importantly, your network of people who can help guide you in life is increased. And it's not just veterans. I mean, we've had opportunities that have come to us because people see, what's Team RSF? They see the back of someone's jersey, and then they talk, oh, well, that's awesome. Well, you guys should come out and work with us, or you should come out and shoot with these guys, or you should, talk to this guy. He's a lawyer and he can help, your guys navigate this, or, I mean, just the opportunities that come from it, of people seeing those jerseys and, the ripple effect of positivity that comes with it. I mean, shooting's awesome. I love to shoot, but it's the environment and the crew that you're with that really the benefits come from. And that's, and that preemptive type stuff, will never know the full effect of what it's doing. So a guy goes and joins Team RSF and starts shooting, and, talks to someone who, I'll just use the same example again, who's already been on those meds from the VA.
Yep.
And he's like, no, dude, don't do that. Don't try those drugs. This is
my story.
Yeah, exactly. You know, your story. So someone you shoot for us, and all of a sudden you're telling a kid who just got out or is still in, hey, you do not get on opiate pain pills. Yeah. Do not do the SSRIs or whatever type of meds they're trying to put you on. Try this first. Here's my story. Here's what happened to me. Here's what the VA did to me. And we never know. So if that guy doesn't get on pills because of you telling him your story, we never know what would have happened if he did. So the ripple effect and the positivity and the fact that it's preemptive is, that's what we're trying to seek by creating these teams.
Super cool. And then what about the ranch, the one that we were talking about in Colorado?
So
that was super interesting.
A couple years ago, we were approached by a recon Marine who has a close relationship with the owners of a ranch in Colorado called the Rawah Ranch, RAWAH. It's like a resort type environment where people go out and horseback ride and skeet shooting and fly fishing, and you get your own log cabin, and there's a river that runs right through the property, and there's moose everywhere. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing place. So again, a couple of years ago, we were asked if we would like to bring a group of veterans out there, and in conjunction with having a therapist. And so we obliged. Of course, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. We brought, I think, like 6 Marines and 6 Air Force service members out. And they got to do all of those activities I described. You have a 4-star chef. I mean, you get the royal treatment, but in conjunction with that, we have group and individual therapy sessions. So the idea is to have service members or veterans. We had half active duty and half veterans that have got some kind of a shared experience. In this case, it's combat trauma, right. And have a therapist who specializes in that area, be able to provide individual sessions plus group sessions, and kind of break down some of the barriers that society and the military and, has been put on service members. So if you are affected by PTSD, for instance, and your buddy who was right there with you in the same situation isn't, there's this feeling, this subconscious that maybe I'm weak, or, totally. Maybe if so-and-so doesn't have a problem with it, why am I having a problem? And I'm not going to admit it, because
such a stigma to it too.
It is. And if a physical injury or if a mental injury was looked at in the same way a physical injury was, I think we'd be in a lot better shape. That's
a good point.
If someone gets shot in the leg and they've got a bullet hole scar on their leg, everybody's like, wow, that's badass. It's kind of a cool badge of honor. I know that's not, but you know what I mean? It's, totally.
It's a good point, because it's such an invisible thing. You know what I mean? When you talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I think a lot of people are afraid of it, afraid of discussing it, feeling less than, feeling weak, feeling this, feeling that. And so you feel kind of alone, trapped in your own little world.
Yeah.
Until you get around other people that have the same experience, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Not the only one.
So, to use the same analogy, so let's say you got shot in the leg and I got shot in the leg, and you are totally fine, but I've got a bad limp. You know what I mean? Like that's the same way with a mental illness. So we were both shot in the same place, the same leg, same round, same caliber, all that. But for whatever reason, it affected me differently. Totally. Now, no one's going to be like, well, John walks with a limp, so he's a big pussy. Like, no, he got shot, and that's it.
Got lucky.
And I got lucky. Right. Whereas I think if we look at the mental and psychological wounds in the same fashion, that will help people. And what you just mentioned, as far as being around people who've experienced the same things, who begin to open up and say, yeah, this is what I go through. This is how I deal with it. This is the situation that I'm in. People don't feel alone, and they don't associate it, with weakness as much as unfortunately a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And so, if I can bring leaders from the military, veterans, people people within our community look up to, and bring them out there and they share their stories, I think that's going to help other people kind of let their guard down and be like, okay, well, if so-and-so, who everybody looks up to, is dealing with this, then it's okay for me to, be public about it and seek help, because the alternative is people self-medicate, they internalize, and the wound festers, just like if you left a bullet wound without treatment.
Agreed.
And so that's the intent of the ranch. Again, that was brought to us a couple years ago. Hey, would you guys like to go out here and do this? Can you bring some guys out? So we paid for a handful of guys to fly out last year and participate. Had a wonderful time. It's a beautiful ranch. And then we're going to do the same thing this year. We've been asked to come back. So
totally awesome.
Yeah.
I think the other part too, we didn't mention it, where we talked about the medications and stuff like that, and like trying to get other vets to tell, hey, I've been down that road. Let's not don't go down that same avenue. Not a safe place to be. Have you guys ever thought about like promoting like more of like a holistic approach to things? Like, the ranch is one thing, definitely being out in nature, but like CBD is another thing that's like helping so many veterans. And I'm going to plug, a company right now, but whatever. My buddy's company, Star Spangled Supplements, it's amazing. You know what I mean? Like he's a veteran. His business partner's a veteran, and they're all about it. They're all about helping other veterans and stuff like that. It's all third-party tested. There is 0 THC. It's not, has nothing to do with weed. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the big misconception or whatever. So people, am I going to piss hot? It's like, no, dude, it's impossible to piss hot. There's no THC in it. But it's helping a lot of people, myself included,
Yeah. So, generally speaking, I will do anything to help my brothers.
Right.
And sisters, anybody who serves this country. Like, I love this country. All the board members are equally patriotic. The majority of the men in our communities feel the same way. And there's nothing I would not do to help somebody in need who serve this country. As far as endorsing stuff like that, it's been so quickly changing. As far as, like you mentioned, CBD, the laws, the Farm Bill just passed, and that has a big effect on hemp and hemp cultivation. The use of CBD by federal employees or service members, and the source of the CBD has to be from a hemp plant and not a marijuana plant, even though it doesn't have THC. So there's a lot of questions and variables in there. So personally, I will endorse any type of herb or anything else, whether it's THC or not, if it helps somebody and it can't kill you.
Right.
Marijuana has never killed anybody. So if trying that before you try OxyContin is an option and a legal option, then I'm all about it. It's a no-brainer, because weed has never killed anybody, and OxyContin kills more people than car accidents in this country, and that's an unfortunate reality.
Right.
And so the worst case scenario, you try some weed or CBD or whatever it is, you might not feel good, or you not like the way you feel, but you're not going to die. Whereas people OD on that stuff every day. And other things too. You've got people who take medications and it changes their mental state to the point where they become suicidal. The fact that you've got one of the side effects of antidepressants is depression
and suicide.
That's just, that's insane.
Yeah.
Imagine a diet pill where you're like, this is, taken for diet, but it can also make you fat. Like, what? Like, I'm not taking that shit. And it's just like common now, you listen to the description, like when they have these commercials, it's, you can also, you might kill yourself if you take this, like, so
no thanks, I'm good.
Yeah. So to answer your question, we don't. If there is a particular case where an alternative approach might be an option, that discussion might be of course, it's got to be legal. Anything that we recommend, but we definitely want to try all legal and healthy solutions for anybody who needs assistance. And I know that there's a lot of information about there in CBD being beneficial for physical and psychological ailments.
PTSD,
Absolutely.
inflammation. I mean, you name it, dude. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I'd love to link you up with those guys just because I think that if you guys ever do like care packages and stuff like that,
yeah,
for a veteran that may be struggling with some mental issues, I think that'd be perfect. You know, it'd be like, hey, give this a shot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's 100% going to work. You know what I mean? Like, you still got to do your work on the, it's not like you just take this magic pill and it helps you. You know, it's like you got to do some work yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But I think maybe a great way to give back, you know what I mean? To be like, and I think that Adam, who's the owner of the company, I think he would be on board with that, you know? Because he's like you, he wants to help as many people as he can. I think that's what makes his business so successful and so real, is that it's all about transparency and authenticity. And he's not in the business of like, yeah, sure, he makes money, you know, but it's like, that's not his primary. Like, his primary is to help people.
Yeah.
So I promote him every chance I get just because I believe in it. But
yeah. That's awesome.
I digress.
No, man, it's, if you're in it for the right reasons, and I am, we are, everybody on the board, everybody who volunteers every single day for the foundation. There's a lot easier ways to get positive recognition and high fives and free t-shirts. You know what I mean? You've got to be in it for the right reason. And at the end of the day, it's about helping people in need, helping people who serve this country. Right. The importance of service, I think, is lost. I don't think it is lost on a lot of Americans, and it's even lost on a lot of veterans. I don't think people realize what would happen if Americans stopped serving in our military.
Oh.
Our ability to defend, our ability to stabilize, our ability to attack when necessary and appropriate. If we don't have that, somebody else is going to take our spot. Definitely. And when you look at the other options, they're not doing good things in the world. Right. And everybody can talk about what we did here and there and all the questionable things of our past. But for the most part, in my mind, we're a major force for good. And if young Americans don't continue to serve, we're fucked.
Yep.
And that's the most simple way to put it. But we are fucked if we don't have the ability to keep peace in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I always use the example of the Boxer Day tsunami in 2004. That tsunami devastated Thailand, Indonesia, Banda Aceh. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed, and that's Christmas Day here. It was the day after Christmas. Right. We deployed over 20,000 troops into the most Muslim populated country in the world. No one had guns. They went in, American service members went in, handed out medicine, cleaned up bodies and other things that would have been spreading disease, malaria, all that stuff, and prevented a catastrophe from being 10 times worse than it was.
Right.
And Russia wasn't there. China wasn't there. You know, that's who we are. That's the day after Christmas, we mobilize, I think 27,000 troops into the most Muslim populated country in the world without any guns, without any force to help people.
That's the fabric of America, man.
That is exactly who we are. And when I was in the Marine Corps and we were on ship and we'd stop in a country, there was always a group of people, whether it was they were made to do it or it was volunteer, that were going out and doing good things. Right. And that's, again, the no better friend, no worse enemy. That's who we are. That's who our military is. And that's the reality of America. And if that isn't continued, if we don't have that ability, if these guys stop serving our country, the world is we're in a lot of shit. Yep. And so for us to be in a position in our personal lives and professional lives to be able to use our free time to help these men and women, it's an honor, man. I mean, in my opinion, there's no better gift than the American freedom. So to be born in this country and be free, even though a lot of people don't realize how good of a gift that is, to have that gift and give it up for 4 years at the least and for your entire life at the most, so that my kids can go to school without gunfire or grenades or rockets or threatened by anybody.
Yeah. That's
huge, man. And it's been continuous throughout our history, so we get used to it. We get numb to the effect and the size of that sacrifice, but it's huge. Yeah. People all over the world are dying to come here for just a taste of American freedom. And every single day, our kids are giving it up so they can keep us free. So it's an honor for us to be in this position. And, I want to continue growing the foundation into a place where we can provide better assistance and take care of these guys, because the government's not doing it.
Right.
I can sit here all day long and bitch about that, but it's not going to do any good. People have been doing that already. It hasn't worked. Right. So, like I said, we see ourselves as leaders, and that leadership is required and needed right now. And that's what the RNS Foundation is all about.
How do people donate to the foundation if they're interested in like donating to it? And how do people get involved if they're interested in getting involved?
Okay. So, if you go to reconsniperfoundation.org, if you just Google the Recon and Sniper Foundation, it will take you to our website, or you can just enter the web address of reconsniperfoundation.org. There's places to donate on the website. Nice. We have merchandise where you can buy t-shirts and sweatshirts and stickers and things, which helps us. You can get reoccurring donations. So I donate $10 a month myself. So every month, $10 comes out. We have events and raffles that you can help out. If you're looking to volunteer, and even if you're not a veteran and you just have a skill set or a knowledge that could be beneficial to young men and women who are getting ready to get out, give us a call or drop us an email and let us know, and we'll plug you in somewhere where you might be able to help. Because every case we get, we have 17 active cases right now where people are asking for assistance. Right. And every single one of them is different. Yep. They're very unique and in a different place in the country. And this is stuff we've never done before. We're kind of shooting from the hip and inventing. We're not reinventing, we're inventing ourselves as we go. So we'll take all the help and expertise we can get out there. And again, even if someone's not a service member or have any affiliation in the military, you want to help us out, give me a call, and we'll find out what you do, what your expertise is, and I'll plug you in somewhere, because it's definitely needed. And then people veterans who are interested in shooting with our teams, if you're interested in competitive shooting, reach out to us through our website. And again, I'll connect you with the guys who run the Team RSF effort. The competitive shooting thing has been very, very beneficial to the people shooting and to the foundation. It's helped us out a ton. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
You guys doing amazing shit, man. And me personally, to be honest with you, like I would love to get involved with it, because it is something that I'm passionate about. And that was partially the primary reason why I want to do this podcast. You know what I mean? Because like I wanted to see, number one, what you guys were all about. Sure, I could have researched it all, and I tell a lot of people before I do the podcast, I don't like to research too much. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to know too much, because it kind of takes away from the conversation. Sure. Like I want to learn like while we're talking. And the more that I've learned, man, I could feel your passion. I could see that you're super passionate about it. And it makes me want to get involved, because like you ask yourself, like, what are you doing to help out? You know what I mean? Like, yeah I served my country. I'm a veteran, but like you could always do more. You know? So I'm definitely down to get involved in any way that I can and promote, what you guys are doing, for sure.
I appreciate that. Yeah. We'll definitely, I'll definitely continue talking to you and figure out a way where we can make that happen. And Absolutely. It helps you, it helps, like it helps me.
Yeah, it's an altruistic feeling, you know what I mean?
There is nothing better. So one of the coolest things I've ever done with the foundation was we had a Vietnam veteran a couple years ago who was assaulted in an airport. God, I get choked up just thinking about it. This dude fights for, in Vietnam. He's shot in the chest and the back end, recovers in a hospital in Japan, gets orders to the drill field. He's going to be a drill instructor. As soon as those bullet holes, are healed, you're going to be a drill instructor. So he does that. He serves his country honorably. He loves America. He loves the Marine Corps, and he gets, honorably discharged, does amazing service after Vietnam. Fast forward, 30 years or whatever, and he is flying from North Carolina down to Texas to his granddaughter's school, I believe, and she was having like a Heroes Appreciation Day or something, like bring your hero to work or to school, excuse me. Right. And he's flying home, and he's in the airport in North Carolina, and he's got his medals on his jacket, and 3 service members I'm not going to call them Marines because I think there's a few times that a Marine can lose his, and I'm not in a position to make that command decision, but if it was up to me, I wouldn't call them that. So I'll just say service members. 3 active duty guys started screaming in his face like drill instructors, putting their finger in his face, and they ripped his medals off his jacket, and they were calling him stolen valor and a fake. And he's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's just a super happy, jolly dude. And he served this fucking country, man. He fought in Vietnam, and just the way they were treated when they came home and the effect that had on him, when very similar things happened to him when he came home in the 60s.
Yep. And
to have that happen to him again, but by his fellow Marines. You know, those older guys and the way they look at like they love younger military dudes. You know, like I'm not even 40 and I go to the base and I'm just like, look at these guys. This is fucking awesome. You know, it gets me so motivated. He's looking at these guys the same way. And what do? They rip his medals off and scream in his face and put their finger in his chest. And, you know, they hurt him. And so I don't know how we initially got in touch with this family, but we decided I was going to be on that side of the country. It happened in North Carolina. I was going to be on that side of the country anyway for an event that the foundation had going on. So I flew up to North Carolina, and myself and some other recon Marines and snipers took this guy and his family out to dinner and presented him with a laser etched glass plaque. You know, we wanted him to know, like, this is the real 21st Marine Corps. This is how we look up to you guys who went before us, and the traditions we have and the values we have and the respect we have that stems from what you, sir, did. Right. We want you to know that those guys, that's bullshit, and we don't condone that in any way, and this is the real deal. Yep. And the feeling I got at that dinner as he was telling me we saved his life is literally the best I think I've ever felt in my entire life. I mean, just this blanket of happiness and patriotism and warmth came over me, and I'm like, dude, if you could bottle this and sell this, man, like I've never felt that good in my life. And I get bursts of that feeling when I talk to someone who we helped out in a bad situation. And, you know, someone came up to me in Vegas, and I've never met this guy in my life. And he's like, hey dude, you know, I'm so-and-so, you saved my cousin. My cousin was all fucked up, and he called you guys, and he's doing great now.
That's awesome, man.
Like, dude, it feels good. So, you know, from my point is, you get involved. It's not just helping them, it's helping us too. And, that might sound selfish for reasoning, but it is what it is. You feel really, really good when you help people out. And I want veterans to work with us who are going to benefit not only the mission and the recipient, but they're going to benefit themselves, because it's addictive. And then you'll want to continue doing it and continue doing good things and feel like you're accomplishing amazing stuff on behalf of Americans who've served this country.
Totally, man. I dig it. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and this could be on a personal aspect or for the foundation.
Okay.
If you had one book or one person that inspired you the most to do what you do in your life, or for the foundation to do what they do, what would that book be, or what would that person be, and why?
Gosh, that's a good one. Hopefully you're going to edit out all my thinking as I think about this, because
and all my stomach gurgling from the talk.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you're rethinking the lunch option that I took you to, because I hear your stomach. I eat there all the time, so if you got stomach problems, I'm so sorry. But anyway, as far as a person who has motivated me or influenced me the most, I probably say my late uncle. I had an uncle who lived in Hong Kong, and while I was stationed in Okinawa, he would contact me all the time. He was very, very smart. He was well respected. He was a humanitarian. He wasn't one side or the other. He looked at every situation and determined what he felt was best for it, from a political standpoint or anything like that, or historical. He commanded respect. So my uncle, unfortunately, he committed suicide almost 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And that was tough. It's still tough, but I think that would be the one individual that I think is probably influenced me the most. And if I could be like one person, that would be him.
What was his name? Can you mention it?
Yeah, his name was Tobias Brown. He was a big investor in Hong Kong, helped start the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, was extremely wealthy, an amazing dude.
Yeah.
One time he sent me a check in Okinawa, didn't tell me it was coming. And, this is in the 90s. So it was, God knows how long it took to get there, but it's $1,000 check.
Right.
And I think that's more than I got probably, all month long. So get $1,000 check. And he's like, go out and have an amazing weekend, with your girlfriend, and go out to dinner, get great hotels and all this stuff on the beach and cause it's tropical environment. So you're like Hawaii. So go out and have an amazing weekend and spend all of that money. Spend all $1,000 having an awesome time. Just out of the blue. And it wasn't the amount of money, but it was just the gesture of it. He sent me a check one time and said to buy a computer, because he thought that was very important for me to have a computer. He enlisted the efforts of Henry Kissinger one time to help me. This is a crazy story. So when I was at the infantry school in California, he had suggested that I try out for the Marine Security Guard program. So Marine Security Guard program, they work in the embassies and consulates, and they're active with the State Department, the CIA and stuff. And he thought that if I wanted to be an intelligence officer after I got out of the Marine Corps, that would be a very good path. It would put me in proximity to people who are going to help rub elbows with the right people, and put me in the position where I can do good in that regard, because that was something I desired at that time. And I had too many speeding tickets as a teenager, so they wouldn't let me even try out for the MSG program. And I told him that, and he was like, "This is bullshit," and he's all pissed off. And all right, cool, whatever. So I'm a grunt. So I go the 311 program. I go to infantry. Go to Okinawa. I told you the story. And I just finished the recon indoctrination platoon, 13 weeks of absolute hell.
Yeah.
It sucked. I think I can't remember how many dudes we started with, but we graduated, I think 11. And, it sucked. It was a huge gut check. And, I'm glad I did it, but it was a shitty 12 or 13 weeks. And, as soon as I graduated, I think it was that week. So we couldn't leave base the entire time we were in RIP. We worked Monday through Saturday, and we had Sundays off. And Sundays was the day that you got your sketch kit together, and the day that you got haircuts, and the day that you did all the stuff that you needed to do in your off time, because there was no off time in the rest of the week. And so I just graduated, and this dude calls me into his office. He's a gunny, and I'm a Lance Corporal at the time. And he's like, "Brown, I need you to come down to my office." And this dude is super scary, very well respected. He's not in my chain of command. He's, from a different platoon. I'm like, well, why the fuck is this guy want me? That's not good. If he calls your name, get ready. Some shit's about to hit. And so I go down there thinking I'm about to get dumped in the ocean. And he's super relaxed and nonchalant and joking around. His feet are up on his desk. "Hey, Brown, how's it going, man?" I'm like, okay, I'm totally getting set up for some shit. I fucked up, and he's about to drop a bomb on me. And he's like, "So do you know somebody who's kind of connected?" And I instantly think of my uncle. I'm like, okay, what has he done? What silly thing has he done? And he's like, So my friend, who's also a Force Recon Marine, is doing security for Dr. Kissinger, and he got a phone call, or he was told by Dr. Kissinger that you were interested in the MSG program. Are you still interested in doing that? And I've still got cami paint behind my ears from the shit I just went through for the last 13 weeks, right. And my legs and hands and feet are chafed from sand and everything else. I'm like, as amazing as that is to have the dude who was the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State at the same time during the Vietnam War, like involved in trying to get me to go to the MSG program, there's no fucking way I'm going to reverse what I just went through and not continue on this path.
Yeah.
So long story short, my uncle did some amazing things on my behalf. He put it all out there for me. He wanted the best for me. I traveled all over Southeast Asia with him, and I saw him do some amazing things and help people out. And even after he died, I learned of some of the things that he did. He sat on a board for a pharmaceutical company, and again, I didn't learn about this until after he passed. And he had helped them develop a medication that would end up saving possibly millions of kids' lives in very poor areas, North Africa, South and Central America. And he could have made like $110 million off this, just his involvement. And I think I'll send you the article, but he, in exchange for not getting that money, he made that free to kids in those countries. And, shit like that he probably did 10 times over, and I have no idea. I only know about this because someone sent me the article, but I had no idea. I mean, the entire time, he was doing stuff like this. And so his humility and his heart and his intellect, that collection of who he was as a man is definitely something that influenced me the most.
Yeah, totally, man. I can see why.
That was a lengthy response, so I apologize. But
no, I dig it, man. It's awesome. I'm going to look him up when I leave here, dude. He sounds like a super fascinating guy that I want to learn from too. The second question is, if you have one lesson in your life that you learned that you can impart on somebody else to save them the heartache or save them from going down a hard road that you had to go down to learn a lesson, what would that lesson be and why? Not even it doesn't even have to necessarily be like this hard lesson you had to go through or whatever, but like just something that, like, looking back, like as an adult now, married with kids, and you got this foundation going, you have your job going, and looking back, being like, man, I could have done that a little differently. And had I, had somebody to maybe share that with me, I wouldn't have gone down that same road. What would that lesson be and why?
So as I get older, as I mentioned earlier, when I go down to Camp Pendleton, I look at the guys that are 18, 19, 20 years old, like they look like children.
Oh yeah.
And when I was in grade school, I would look at the guys in middle school and they looked like they were so big. And when I was in middle school, I'd look at the guys in high school and they looked like they were so big.
Yeah.
And now I look back and they all look tiny. And I realize, looking back, not just in relation to size, but everything, behavior, that I didn't know shit about anything. I thought I knew everything. I thought I was an adult. I thought I was smart. I thought I had it all together. And the older I get, the more I realize, like, I didn't know shit, and I was immature and stupid, and I wish I would have shut my mouth and listened more to the people who've already gone, whether it was my dad or the elders I served with in the Marine Corps, the guys who were, above me or before me. So I think the earlier you realize that there will be a time in life where I'm going to look back at pictures of myself today and be like, yeah, dude, I would give anything to be that young again, that skinny, that, wrinkle free, whatever.
Right.
To realize that, but also to realize that you're going to be smarter, and to realize just kind of realize who you are. And that, I guess what I'm saying is, I wish I would have been more humble. Yeah. Not that I was cocky or overtly cocky, but I wish I could have been more humble within myself, right, and realizing that I have so much more to learn, and that life is so much more complex than I saw it at the time.
Yeah,
so
makes perfect sense, man. Well, dude, I genuinely appreciate you coming on the podcast, man, and being willing to do it.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I had to reschedule to this week.
It's all good.
It was supposed to be last week, and then just, something came up, and then whatever, but here I am. But I genuinely appreciate it, man. Like I said, if there's anything that I can do personally to help with the foundation, please let me know.
Okay.
If there's anything I can do to, like, indirectly like connect you with other people or other foundations or anything, I'm more than willing. Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys and thank you for everything you're doing, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
I really appreciate that. I am just one dude of many. I'm the worst thing about being the president is everybody thanks me,
Right.
but it's not me. It's there's a big team of dudes that bust their ass every day. I'm just the guy who gets to be here and be the public face.
Yep.
So I really appreciate that. I will definitely let you know as far as opportunities. The best thing you can do is if you're in an environment where you're talking to people through your podcast or anywhere at all, and you see a service member or a veteran who needs help, to reach out to us, because we have money in the bank. We have people who are ready to help. We have the resources, but I can only help the people that I know about. And, unfortunately, there's a mentality where people are reluctant to help, especially amongst veterans and people who are too proud to ask for help. And I think to remind people, however you can, that every single one of us is going to have a bad day in life. It's not a veteran thing. That's a human thing. Totally. And if today's your turn, then let us help you out. If you're a veteran and today's your turn to have a shitty day, let me help you out, because tomorrow it might be my turn and I need your help. So just to answer your question, pass a word. This is who we are. This is what we do. Check us out. If you need help, if you want to volunteer, let us know. You want to learn about the program, or, vet us or whatever, anything.
Yep.
Hit us up and just keep spreading the word and doing what you're doing, man. Telling stories and talking to vets and keeping these stories alive. That's awesome.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming up.
All right, brother.
Thank you for listening to My Backstory. Stay motivated and stay connected off the show. Follow at my_backstory_ to be a part of the journey to recovery and to see where your story goes. Or visit us online at hereismybackstory.com.